Final Word Daily for last and final time from New Zealand. I'm so sorry to leave you, but unfortunately, this is the way time works, this is the way cricket works, and New Zealand have won the final test of the series, bringing this series to a close. England win the series 2-1, but New Zealand win the day and the week by loads. They finished the third test winning by 423 runs, which is their joint largest ever victory in Test cricket. It is England's third heaviest ever defeat, but only the second heaviest of this year, I'll have you know. They got thumped in Rajkot. And I'm Cameron Ponsonby. I'm joined by Jeremy Coney. And for one last time, I'm going to try and sum up the day in 30 more seconds after the 30 seconds I've just spoken about it, but we can do it again anyway. Count me in. England arrive. They're 18 for 2. Joe Root, Jacob Bethell, beautiful batters, add on another 100. Could England do the impossible? Could they get all the way up to 650? No, they can't. After putting on 100, Joe Root falls to Mitchell Santner very shortly after having been hit in the box by Will O'Rourke. Are those two things connected? I don't know. Maybe. Then from that point onwards, England fall in a heap. They lose their last 7 wickets for 6 wickets even because Ben Stokes doesn't bat for 100 runs. New Zealand cruise to a 423 run win. It was very, very plain sailing. But I'm going to tee you up somewhere else.
Oh, okay.
Because despite a plain sailing day, we had a spell of genuine world-class quality. Will O'Rourke bowling 8 overs of high pace. 150 clicks, 90 miles an hour, around people's faces. He hit Joe Root in the penis, he hit Ollie Pope in the bicep, and he hit someone else somewhere else. But there you go.
Yeah. Oh, well, thanks for that. There we are. Glad we've had that little body. Okay. Yeah, look, O'Rourke certainly was the game changer, wasn't he?
Yep.
In both innings, really. He bowled a few overs into this breeze. It's quite strong, actually, behind us at the moment. We've got things holding the tripod down. But then he turned around and came with the wind, and from that moment on, I mean, he got to 153 Ks. I don't know what that's.
Lots.
Plenty.
Yeah.
Plenty. 160 is 100 miles an hour, so not too far short. And he was difficult. Again, it's not just the pace, it's the bounce as well, and where it's bouncing. And he actually has got some cricket intelligence as well, because he'll push you back like that and then he'll hang one out wide when your weight's back and they're flashing wide at the ball for a drive, wanting to score, wanting to keep the runs going, and then he can possibly gain a wicket and an edge and so on from there. So he actually puts a number of deliveries together, and certainly he made. I thought Bethell looked, and Root, that was the best partnership of the innings. You've highlighted that, and he made the rest of the batsmen bounce, and jump about and look uncomfortable. And really, he's been an asset for New Zealand. We've only discovered him recently. He will move up as an asset very importantly and very quickly, I would say. New Zealand won't be able to control him outside of New Zealand, but they will within New Zealand, I think, as much as they can.
And it's a bit on the nose almost that you've got one legend departing in Tim Southey, and then you have this new guy coming along. It's the old, you read it in every single piece whenever someone retires, of like the passing of the baton, on it goes. But New Zealand do seem to have a really exciting pace attack for both now and in the future in Matt Henry, Will O'Rourke, Nathan Smith, Jacob Duffy, Ben Sears, kind of as a quintet.
It's good. It's good.
It's looking good for the future.
Yeah, it is. If we can keep them fit, we'll be an interesting side to play against, certainly at home.
And so, of the kind of battles he had with numerous players, Bethell was probably the one that it stood out to me, mainly because at one stage Bethell was 2 off 24 against O'Rourke. He scored 2 runs off for the first ball, and then it's one of those things where you'll read somewhere in a match report tonight that kind of O'Rourke won the battle but Bethell won the war. I don't actually think that's true, because I think O'Rourke really had his number.
It's the other side, and he was playing leg side of it in the end.
Correct.
After he'd been hit a couple of times, very much leg side, so looking for width, looking for length also, because he played some nice drives and he did get onto the front foot quite nicely. But I think everybody doesn't like pace that much, and especially if it's accurate, and so they were very keen on getting to the other end. I mean, good cricketers make good decisions, and so Duckett's decision in the evening prior to today's play was a poor one. Harry Brook coming out the very first ball, giving himself room, looking to charge. Not good. Didn't look good for the number one batsman in the world at that time. And then some others as well. I mean, I don't know whether you want to mention Pope's decision at this stage.
I'd love to mention
the way he, as I say, to try and do that to Henry, the most consistent, the man who's going to bring the stumps into play, the most out of the New Zealand bowling, order. He missed it, the ramp, and it was bowled off stump. It looked bad, I thought.
It did
look bad.
It looked bad, and it looked bad both in isolation and in context, because today was realistically a dead day. We knew the match was going to finish at some point and in some manner, but we knew the result. And Bethell, as probably the youngest batter in that lineup, had the most to prove because he's the newest. And so you could see that in his kind of natural application. He was going for it. He still has stuff to prove.
Yeah.
It contrasts that with Harry Brook, whose quality is known. His first ball from Will O'Rourke charges down the crease, has a big swing, misses it. 2 balls later, gets a brilliant delivery and is caught at slip. 4 balls faced from O'Rourke this test from Brook, 2 dismissals. You then had Pope, kind of first ball LBW appeal, given not out on field. It wasn't umpire's call on DRS.
No.
You then had a very hastily kind of shimmied forward defence, and then he struck him on the arm where he ducked into a short ball, and just it looked horrible and gruesome. And you kind of contrasted all this with Bethell kind of being, if not in control, at least slightly calm about the situation. And if I'm Ollie Pope, I'm really not enjoying looking back at this, where I've got the lad doing my job, walking off with 70 to his name. Yes, he got out running, charging Tim Southee, sensing an opportunity. But if you're Ollie Pope, don't give people the opportunity to criticise you and go, oh, should he be playing rather than Bethell? Because he went for the scoop versus Matt Henry and was clean bowled, and it just looked a bit rubbish.
It did. No, Bethell coped with probably with the pace better than any of the other English players. I thought he looked, right throughout. I mean, he's played in his first 3 tests, and he's looked relatively composed and calm. He's got a 90 odd in Wellington. Sure, second innings. He got a 50 not out in the second innings at Christchurch, and now he's got a 70 here in the second innings. So, I mean, that's been a good start for him, I think. And he's a mover around the park nicely. He bowled a few little left armers, got his first test wicket and got 3 of them quite quickly. So he's made a significant development, I think you could say, from the 3 tests that he's played. England again have pulled something out of a hat. And he's not let them down.
I think I'm guilty of this as anyone, getting giddy over Jacob Bethell. And I think
you don't need to get giddy.
No, but it's fun getting giddy.
I know it is. But he's. Let's see how he goes.
Exactly. I think that's the point. We've kind of, because of the nature of his runs, he hasn't scored any first innings runs yet. But his 3 half centuries have come where he's shown his ability, but they've been in low pressure or no pressure situations. So you kind of like, that's the next piece of the jigsaw for us to get excited about. And I've decided I like getting ahead of myself. I think it's one of my strengths. So I'm going to
when I go out of myself and ahead of myself, that's where I live.
That's where I'm at my best. It's perfect. Right, then basically the game kind of finished in a bit of a hurry. Gus Atkinson smashed 40, kind of decided to keep on taking on Mitchell Santner, eventually fell to him. Matthew Potts 2 balls later did the same, got caught at long off. Santner's finished this match with extraordinary figures of about 7 for kind of 80 or whatever. Was there anything to learn from the end of the match, or was it just a case of autopilot, on we go?
I think that is. I think it's a bit that. But I mean, as far from a New Zealand perspective, Santner's, he must have 30 odd tests now. And you're not going to get 13 as he did in Pune in a match, never in New Zealand. So to get, a 70 in the first innings and carried on the legs, as I say, taking the legs out of the English bowlers, really, and then getting a 40 in the second innings, 3 wickets quite cheaply in the first, and then 4 in this. It's quite an all-round match for him. He's a good, again, like Bethell, a good mover around the ground, left-handed, so he complements the right-handers and he can field in different positions, and it makes it dangerous to take singles. So all those things give you a little composite package, I think, as a player. And so, I mean, I'm pleased to see his development. He's hung around. You're never going to play on a green one in New Zealand. He knows that. But he's ready. It's like Will Young, ready to play. Never getting a good run at the game at test level, but ready to go and when it's required.
So where do kind of New Zealand sit, and how do they assess this series? I know for England it's actually pretty easy, to be honest. They go, yep, happy, 2-1 win.
Yeah.
Where are question marks? All right, Crawley's not going too well, but we know we want him to play away in the Ashes, so we'll give him a lot of rope. Bashir, we're still looking for him to develop, but okay, we've still got a little bit of time, if not massive amount, and then we'll have Bethell into Pope, 2-1 if need be, if 8 people can stay fit for the first test. They're kind of, England, we roughly know where they are. How do New Zealand reflect on this series? And given their next test match is so far away,
Yeah, Zimbabwe.
is there much to learn? Kind of what's the mood in the camp to use
the main issue will be Conway or Young. I think, can Conway resurrect his test career? Can he solve the problems that he's having? And who will then open if that's the case? Can we fit Young and Conway in? Or do they then think of, well, if Latham's the captain, then it's only going to be one of them? Or do you put Latham down to keep and bat at number 6 and put Conway and Young into open? Or do you want to put, there are several options about that.
Has Latham kept recently at all? That's kind of passed me by. Not passed me by that he can do it, but
yeah.
I'm trying to remember the last time in my mind.
He so far has been a white ball keeper.
Yeah.
There are questions about Blundell, I think, and
sure.
with the gloves. So that's an issue. It looks as though we've found our main spinner, although they talk about Phillips being the main spinner, except he didn't actually bowl an over in this match.
Didn't need to. Mitch was back in town. You got 3 of them.
So we seem to be doing a little better in the spin department, and we found, of course, as I say, now if we can get some fit people in behind O'Rourke and Henry and Smith, I think we've started to get a seam department that is in a good condition.
I've got a question for you, and I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here, because I hadn't been past my consciousness, but I saw Cricinfo, Vidushan Hantharaj, a friend and colleague, wrote it up, and he's been hearing whispers about whether this could potentially have been Kane's last test match. Have you heard anything in that respect? Would that be a shock if it did go in that direction?
He went. Did you see how he walked off?
I didn't know.
And applauded. All the players stood back and applauded. Now, whether that's indicative of what you're talking about, yeah. I mean, there have been people who have been saying that after he decided not to take up a full contract.
Yeah.
And he's heading off to the South African franchise fairly soon. So he's going to be playing and following his own devices there. That's fine, and choices. He has said that he's keen to play test for New Zealand, but it's a long time away. So that will be the question. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility.
It's remarkable because he was asked it yesterday. He wasn't asked, "Are you retiring?" He was asked, "Are you going to be in Zimbabwe?" And he was like, "Let's see. It's a long way away." And you go like, "Oh, that's not saying you will be."
No.
And it was someone, the same Vish gave me this example. Apparently, it was Ponting and Hussey. I don't know, 15 years ago, almost 20 years ago, when they retired. I might be using the wrong examples here, and I apologise, but one of them had announced it was going to be their last test match in advance, and so the other one went, I was going to say that was my last test match. Like, I can't do it as well. And so there's the idea that Kane, the kind of more
you
quieter...
heard it first here.
It was, you heard it first here after me reading it somewhere else, and you maybe have seen it there. Hey, breaking news, cutting edge, all these things. Right, it's 2-1. This has been the Final Word Daily. We'll see you in 2 seconds after this little break for the Hall of Fame. Hey, we're back. One last time.
We enjoyed that.
I know we enjoyed it, but I didn't feel like I got the cadence of what I was trying to say quite right. But that's okay. It's fine. Hey, this is the Hall of Fame, and the Hall of Fame is brought to you by This Is Hypnobirthing. This Is Hypnobirthing is Rach, Adam's wife's new business after she is recently trained as a hypnobirthing teacher. Don't know what hypnobirthing is? Doesn't matter, because we've got the basics for you right here. I like the fact that I say it doesn't matter, and then I have to read them every single time. just so I'm across it. About it. Long story short, is everything you need to know about how to go into giving birth feeling calm, positive, and prepared for anything. She's based in North London, but can teach online and therefore around the world. Crucially, there's no fluffy stuff and no incense burning, just straight talking facts to help you and your partner be ready and prepared.
And Adam?
Yeah, Adam, is he mad for it?
Yes.
Is he mad for it? Absolutely nuts for it. Can't stop himself talking about it. Get in touch with either of them if you want to learn more. If you do want to get in contact with Rach because you think this is something that you might benefit from, or a friend, she is available at This Is Hypnobirthing on Instagram, which has now gained 1.1 million followers since yesterday. or email her at hello@thisishypnobirthing.com.
Great.
Wonderful. Hall of Fame. You got anything?
Got anything? You say better say first while
Oh,
I
yes.
think. No, I'll use the dismissal of Pope.
Lovely. Okay.
Yeah, it ended up facing straight back up the wicket. You could see the stumps deteriorating.
Yep.
And had to wander off. So that was, at the time, I thought, just a strange dismissal.
It was weird. And then in contrast to that, I think my Hall of Fame moment was watching Bethell leaping out of a short delivery from O'Rourke, and there'll be some fantastic photographs of it. It was proper like arched sea spine, basically. It was really exciting. It was Test cricket where, although the contest had gone, you're like, that looks fun. I would have liked to have at some point been able to do that in my life. Only one of us has, wasn't me. And I realised we should absolutely give mention to Tim Southey's final test. I know it's been his inclusion over the course of the series has been a topic of debate, but now it's done. Now it's finished. A word for the great man.
Oh no, well, just a terrific servant. I mean, he's been around for, since 2008, whatever that time is. 390 odd test wickets, 700 plus wickets in if we include white ball games. Just a good lad in the team too. I think he's well liked by everybody, and those are the things that people in the end, you don't remember the games, you sit back and you remember your mates, and he has lots of them. I will remember times when he and Bolt were bowling particularly, both in their pomp. They were fantastic swing bowlers, and it was nice that Hadley referred to him as a champion, I thought, at the end of the day, because he has been. And while some people will focus on the end, towards the end of it, no, he's been a terrific performer for New Zealand, and he's been well liked in the changing room too. He's got lots of mates. That's good. It's a good story, I think.
Perfect. Jeremy, thank you very much, both
Pleasure.
for today and the last 3 weeks. This has been The Final Word. I've been Cameron, Jeremy's been Jeremy, and you'll see Adam and Jeff and Barrett and all the team back with you very, very soon. Thank you and
Lovely
goodbye.
to see you. Cheers.